everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lisa alias Fit Unicorn Cosplay, and this video tutorial will be a basic guide about insulation foam. I hope this video will give you a basic understanding about how to work with insulation foam so that you can use it for your next costume as well. So let's start the video.
Insulation foam is super lightweight and comes in huge sheets and have a huge variety of thicknesses. It's normally used for house constructions, so you should find it easily in any hardware store. But keep in mind, insulation foam comes in different colors. It doesn't matter which color you are using, it's all the same, just use that your local hardware store has available. Because the price of the foam can change to each country, you have to look it up by yourself. But I will put some prices and thicknesses of my local store in the video description below. But how to work with insulation foam? Well, it's pretty easy to work with insulation foam. You just need a box cutter and sandpaper. And probably some plasters and disinfection spray. So be careful while you're cutting so that you doesn't hurt yourself. So like you can see, you can easily cut through the foam if you kept your blade sharp. If you use a box cutter that isn't sharp enough, you will get these ugly borders, and that's definitely not the result we want to achieve. So you can use some separate blades, but you can also buy yourself a grinding stone to sharpen up your blades. It will save you a lot of money and is also super easy to use. Just be a little bit careful so that you doesn't hurt yourself. After we cut the base piece out, we can finally start carving it. And also work with sandpaper as well. I always start with a sandpaper like 80 and finish everything later with 120 and 240 to get the cleanest result. Maybe some of you are wondering if you can use your Dremel to sand down your insulation foam. And well, yes, you can do it, but you have to be a little bit more careful because you can easily go a lot more through the foam instead when you're using sandpaper. So it's up to you if you want to use it. I'm personally not a fan of it, but like I said, it's up to you. If you want to use it, if not, then not. And also, one important tip from me is, please don't use a heat gun on insulation foam. Trust me, if you point your heat gun directly to the foam, it will start melting the foam and it will ruin your entire prop. So only if you want to have some cool texture, then go ahead and use a heat gun. But normally, please don't use a heat gun on insulation foam. Insulation foam is a really fragile material, so it can easily happen that something broke or fell off. So in this case, we should take a closer look to some glue to repair our prop, because you can't use any glue for insulation foam. So I will test hot glue, wood glue, styropor glue, contact cement and super glue. So let's have a closer look at hot glue. Well, hot glue isn't the best solution for insulation foam. I know a lot of cosplayers are using hot glue, but in my opinion there are better solutions, because obviously the hot glue will get really hot and will start melting the foam. So I'm not a fan of using hot glue, and I think there are better opportunities. The next one would be wood glue. Well, the good thing is wood glue works, but the negative aspect is that it needs a long time to dry, and I also think the bond isn't the strongest, so you can use it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Next is styropor glue. And I have to say, styropor glue is the best thing you can find to glue insulation foam. It has a super strong bond, it only needs about 10 minutes to dry, and it's just perfect. You can compare it like contact cement for EVA foam. So you put it on both sides, wait like 10 minutes until it gets dry, but at the same time sticky, press it together and the bond is super strong. I glue all my props with it and it's the best thing you can use. The next one would be contact cement. Well, contact cement is maybe a really good solution for EVA foam, but for insulation foam it's pretty because the contact cements will melt your foam, which makes this obviously useless as a glue for insulation foam. So please never use contact cement. Last but not least will be super glue. And I have to say it surprised me, because I thought super glue would also melt your foam, but it didn't, and the bond was also super strong. So super glue is a perfect solution to glue on smaller pieces. All in one, I would say super glue is great for smaller pieces, But for big pieces and also in general, the best glue you can use for insulation foam would be styropor glue. But before you use any glue on your prop, please test it first on the leftover piece, because I don't know if your glue maybe reacts different than mine because of the brand, so it would be really important to test it first so that you doesn't ruin your prop. After our piece is now glued back together, it's time to add some details. There are different methods how you can do this, so let's have a closer look into that. The first method is to burn your details in with your soldering iron. But please only do this in a well-ventilated area and also wear a respirator. You also have to be really careful that you not burn too much of your material. So try it first on a leftover piece so that you get used to it. The next method is really easy. Just use your box cutter and sandpaper to carve in some details. The next method is to cover your piece in Worbla and add afterwards some cool details. Yes, it's possible to use Worbla on insulation foam, just be a little bit careful. Heat up your Worbla next to your insulation foam and afterwards cover the material with Worbla and everything should be fine. The last method is to glue on some accessories. For example, you can add some EVA foam. In this case, you can also use hot glue, because you will add the hot glue to the EVA foam, let it cool down a little bit, and it doesn't melt. And after we add all our details, it's finally time to primer our pieces. So I will test some primers I already had at home. To clarify, I will use 3 layers of primer for each piece. First we will take a closer look to wood glue. Well, already after 3 layers of primer we get a super smooth finish. I easily applied it with a brush and it dries super fast and I'm really happy with the result. If we compare wood glue with flex bond and bookbinder glue, we will get the same result. After 3 layers of primer we get a totally smooth finish. All 3 primers aren't toxic, you can use them inside and easily apply them with a brush. The only difference is that wood glue is much cheaper than flex bond or bookbinder glue. The next one would be gesso. I'm not a fan of gesso, because after 3 layers of primer we still have a really rough surface, so I wouldn't recommend it. Next one is Plastidip. Well, Plastidip will melt your foam, so it's not a perfect choice. Also, Plastidip is toxic, so you can only use it outside and you have to wear a respirator. Same goes for spray primer. It will also melt your foam and isn't an option to prime your insulation foam. All in one, the easiest and cheapest solution to prime your insulation foam is wood glue. Now I will test how insulation foam will react with different kinds of paint. I will test acrylic paint, oil paint, airbrush colors and also spray paint. I will test them on a primed piece and also on a non-primed piece. Airbrush color, oil paint and acrylic paint are perfect. They will not react with your foam, so you can safely use them. It doesn't matter if you have primed your foam or not. Spray paint will react a little bit different. On a non-primed piece, it will start melting the foam. But on a primed piece with wood glue, it will not, but it will also turn out a little bit more liquid, and I guess it needs a long time to dry. So my favorite colors to use are acrylic paint, oil paint and airbrush colors. And the last thing I will test is if we can use clear coat also on insulation foam. Again, I will test it on a non-primed piece and also on a primed piece. Clear coat will react the same way like spray primer. On a non-primed piece, it will start melting the foam and also create these ugly bubbles, but on a primed piece it will not. So don't forget to prime your pieces before you use the clear coat. But like I said earlier, please test all your stuff before you're using it on a leftover piece. Or just be like me and never use a clear coat. Maybe I should start with that.
If you see my potato face again, that means you make it through the entire video. So I hope you learned a lot about insulation foam, and if you still have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. And like every YouTuber would say now, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, social media, I don't know. And I hope to see you next time as well. Bye!